What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Dirt Road. I'm here with Mike.
I'm here with Rick.
What's up, brother? That's our farm over there. And that's the Dirt Road right there that we're going to be walking by. Mike, foreign policy.
All right, let's do it. I like foreign policy.
You do and I do, but it seems like Americans just don't care, don't vote on it, don't think really that much about it.
I mean, right now they have a lot. Right now they have a domestic policy they really need to worry about, which they're not wrong. You know?
No, they're not wrong, but I've said it before. You know my theory. You can fix the economy, you can fix the border, you can't fix dead.
This is true.
You know, and there's just so much chaos going on. Came across an interesting op-ed in the Journal the other day by Walter Mead. Very interesting headline, Mike. I'll tell you the headline, you tell me what you think, and then I'll read you some parts of it. U.S. shrugs as World War III approaches.
That's accurate for this current administration. Absolutely. They are just kind of like slow, blind walking into World War III, without a doubt.
But what do you think about the shrugs? Are Americans just shrugging?
Not Americans. The administration, absolutely. Americans, absolutely not. Americans, I think, are probably screaming about it.
Do you think so? I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, you're on social media. A lot of people talking about Ukraine and...
Oh, yeah. They're talking about World War III, yeah. They're scared. People are scared. Nobody wants a world war, right? Nobody wants to send their sons and daughters off to die for something that you don't even believe in. So, yeah, the people are talking about it, absolutely.
So, in the article, he brings up a whole bunch of things that are going on, and all reported by liberal outlets like the Washington Post and the New York Times is kind of liberal. Washington Post, definitely. But they say things like Washington is, quote, fearful that Russia will help Iran cross the finish line for nuclear weapons. They bring up that China, Russia, and Iran are stepping up their attacks on what's left of, quote-unquote, Pax Americana, take off on Pax Romana, and that their gains are at our expense. Russia and China, I don't know if you remember this, but Xi and Putin announced a, quote-unquote, no-limits partnership. They broadened it to include North Korea and Iran. So we have this kind of axis now. People call it an axis of evil. I don't like that very much. But, you know, they'll say that China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea are forming this partnership, and they are.
They are. They have BRICS. I mean, BRICS is a big example of that, right? BRICS is quickly kind of usurping the dollar on the world stage.
So this Walter Russell Mead, his point in the article, he says that all of this increases the likelihood of a multi-theater conflict, if not a global war. That was his quote, which is true.
It's true.
He also says, which I kind of agree with, but I'm going to disagree to part of it, but I'll get your take on it first. Says no party or single president escapes responsibility for this. So he's saying, this has been building up through many administrations and different
I would agree.
Parties. All right, so
for the most part,
tell me why.
Well, I mean, if you look at like all the presidents, I mean, from Bush Sr. on down, it's been basically uniparty type presidents, right? Administrations that have not done anything to really make anything better. It's always been these forever wars, and this constant, military-industrial machine grinding away at life and just creating these circumstances where wars and potential wars are generated so they can keep making money. Yeah. With the only exception to that being Trump, who kind of pulled that back a lot.
I think he did, but I would actually say the bigger exception was Obama. I'll explain why in a minute, but not big enough. But
I mean, he bombed a lot of people, but he really didn't kind of like start a lot of stuff. He bombed a lot of people, though.
No, and I don't want to say it right now, but I'll argue with him, and I just wanted to get to that. But Andrew Bacevich, you guys should definitely read. He writes really good stuff. He wrote a book called Washington Rules, and that's what he called what you just explained. That no matter what you run on or how they speak of what they want to do or whatever, there's certain rules that you have to follow in Washington, and those rules are dictated by the military-industrial complex and by our foreign policy hawks. And it doesn't matter, you got to remember Obama, I don't get into it right now, but Obama ran as Trump on foreign policy.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to end the forever wars.
Close Gitmo, get out of Afghanistan.
And we're going to talk to foreign leaders, and we're going to make deals, and I don't care if the person's a dictator. And remember, he got a lot of heat from our people about that, right? Oh my God, he's going to negotiate without preconditions, and blah, blah. And he's palling around with terrorists. When Trump did it, everybody liked it, though. But yeah, I do agree with you. Trump was, definitely didn't start new shit, but listen, Trump tried to not be Obama, and he's the one who sent all these weapons to Ukraine. Obama wouldn't send them weapons. Obama sent them humanitarian aid. Trump got in. He started sending them lethal aid.
You sent them lethal aid,
yeah, a lot.
I mean, I don't think as much as Biden
No,
has.
no.
He did send them stuff to basically defend themselves with. Yeah.
And all right, so since you brought it up now, I'll get to it. So when this guy said no party or single president escapes responsibility, you agreed, and I kind of agree. Yes, it's across the board.
Sure.
Mike, no one, I'm sorry, no one in my lifetime has done more damage to world peace than Joseph Robinette Biden.
Without a doubt, 100%.
All right, so tell me why you think before I get into why I think.
Well, I mean, a number of reasons. One, the guy is, I swear, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how you could be so wrong so often.
Well, be specific, though. Like what?
Just everything. Ukraine, he keeps escalating Ukraine and, like, poking Russia in the eye, like, more and more and more. Like, to me, like, that's the worst possible thing you could do. You're basically, you're starting a land war in Europe. That's all you're doing.
Well, Russia started the land war, let's be fair. But
Well, no, his weakness started the land war. You know,
What do you mean?
Biden is weak and he's a fool.
But but explain what you mean about why are you blaming him for the invasion?
Because he didn't take seriously the threats Russia was making. He didn't go and sit down and negotiate the deal. He didn't sit down and say, okay, what is the main issue here that we have? Why is Russia so intent upon this thing?
And what do you think the main issue was?
Well, I think there were a lot of reasons for it, but I think the biggest part of it was the fact that we had this NATO stuff going
Yes,
on.
bingo. I agree with you
Right?
1,000%.
That was the NATO one.
That's where I think he was responsible. I was waiting for you to say it. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Why
NATO
did
was
he
probably the
feel
biggest
it's so important to push Ukraine into NATO?
We almost
Why?
went to nuclear war in the 60s because USSR was putting nukes in Cuba.
Bingo.
This is no different. This is this is the Soviet Republic now. This is Putin's Soviet Republic now facing their Cuba with nukes in it. Ukraine is like their Cuba.
Right. So why are we allowed to have a Monroe Doctrine for 200 years,
Right.
but we don't think that Russia has any right to complain that
Exactly.
NATO is surrounded?
Exactly.
Again, I don't think it excuses an invasion. I don't think he was out of choices. I've said that before.
No, listen, he's
but I
not.
get
He's
the
not
point.
guiltless or blameless in this.
No.
Listen, millions of people are dying, and there's a lot of people responsible for that. But absolutely, he's got to take a big share of that responsibility.
100%.
That's a
And
big shit pie.
Now
they gotta eat
everybody's
from.
complaining about this quote-unquote axis of evil. How and why did that form? Mike,
Because they had to.
Right. Every president.
We forced them.
Every president since 1949, since China turned communist.
Yep.
Every president has had a foreign policy to try to keep China and Russia at odds with each other.
Well, sure, because it's easier to keep your enemies
This
fighting each other.
president pushed them into each other's arms. Those two countries have never trusted each other.
Yeah.
They've had wars, by the way. I don't know if you people know this or
Yeah,
not.
they fought
the
wars.
USSR and China had, they were minor skirmishes on the border and everything, but they've had fights.
Mm-hmm.
So Russia and Iran, by the way, always had a
Diametrically opposed.
100%.
Yep.
Russia could have been a partner with us against terrorism.
And they would have
Okay?
been.
Russia had
They offered.
good relationship with Israel all until this Ukraine thing happened, and Joe Biden decided that this is where he's going to draw the red line. And now we have because this writer is right. Russia has to make these. Russia's in trouble. I know you believe that they're pouncing on the war. I'm not so sure, but they've been making deals with Iran to get missiles and to get.
Well, yeah, because they have a
drones.
shortage of
Sure.
they have a shortage of, like, the high
They're
tech
getting
stuff.
shells from North Korea.
Right.
These are countries that Russia never had a good relationship with. Were always kind of distrust. They weren't enemies, but always kind of distrustful.
I mean,
with.
Russia is distrustful in most countries, I think, other than
That's
the ones
true.
they had in their satellite.
Yeah, that's
you know?
true. But you're right. But be that as it may, now we have these four
Self-preservation.
countries that we've decided are enemies, and I still don't understand why. Let me ask you. Just I don't even know how you feel about it, but can you explain to me why Iran is our enemy?
So we
Our enemy, not Israel's. Our
right.
enemy.
So we actually fomented the revolution in Iran and turned Iran into the fundamentalist state it is now. Our Central Intelligence did that. You can thank them.
You're
But-
talking about when they installed the Shah back in the 50s.
Exactly, because they're the ones who created this hot mess that we see now. So why is Iran our enemy? Well, they were our friend when they were fighting Iraq. When we had Iran and Iraq fighting, we were
No, it was the other
supporting-
way around. We supported Iraq.
No, we supported both sides.
No, we supported Iraq because this was after the hostage situation. That war started in the 80s.
I understand. We supported both sides, trust me. Because they make money funding
Oh, in
both
that
sides.
way, yes. I'm talking about public policy.
Public policy, no. But, Iran became our enemy because they didn't become the puppet state we wanted them to be. So they had to be the bad guy. So we made them the bad guy.
Right.
So you take all these bad guys and you put them all in one big basket, let's say, right? Like, here's a nod to Hillary right there, basket of deplorables. All right? We put them all in this basket, and then we were surprised they all become friends.
Right, exactly. And, that's the definition of our enemy, Mike, now, is just a country that doesn't do exactly what we tell them to do. Because
Exactly.
I was thinking about that, I don't know why, but I was actually thinking about this when I was driving to work the other day. So why is Saudi Arabia our ally and Iran is our enemy? I know one's Sunni and one is Shia, and I know that the Iranians are Persian and the Saudis are Arab. Mm-hmm. But life in those countries... Very similar.
Very similar.
Very similar, right? They're both theocracies.
Yep.
They're both kind of dictatorships in a way,
monarchies,
right?
Theocratic kind of like a hybrid. Yeah.
So there's really no difference. So when we say that, the Iranians are terrible, they abuse their people and all that, women couldn't drive in Saudi Arabia until like yesterday.
Yeah, that's true.
So the only difference is that Saudi Arabia does what we tell them to do.
Well, yeah.
So we'll supply Saudi Arabia with weapons, and Iran, we go, they chant death to America. The fuck do I care if they chant death to America? They chant death to America. Yeah, I know they support terrorists. So do a lot of Middle Eastern countries that are our allies, like
Saudi
Egypt.
Arabia, Pakistan,
Egypt.
So
it's not really about that. It's just about who listens to us and who not. So I believe that Joe Biden drove these 4 countries, North Korea, China, Russia, and Iran. Most importantly, China and Russia, because those are 2 countries that should not be hand in hand. They are diametrically opposed to each other in most ways.
Well,
the fact that we've kind of brought about this situation where they could have this quote-unquote no-limits partnership, it just really...
Well, that comes back to just, the Biden presidency, the Biden administration, and just how absolutely awful and absolutely backwards it is. Like, it is unbelievable. It's like a...
You remember what Bob Gates said about him?
No. What do you say?
Bob Gates was both George W. Bush's and Barack Obama's Secretary of Defense, so he's not a partisan guy.
Right, okay, yeah.
He said Joe Biden has been wrong on every foreign policy issue for 50 years.
I forgot about that, yes. Huh? And listen, he just proved it in the last 3.5, almost 4 years.
Absolutely.
Awful.
But the way that they manipulate us, I'll give you an example. The guy that was about to try to kill Trump the other day, right? Mm-hmm. That guy's got ties to Ukraine up the... If you did a colonoscopy on this guy, every fucking polyp would be from Ukraine.
We're going to do a full episode about that guy because there is so much going on in the background with this guy that doesn't make sense.
But Mike,
we'll do a full episode.
He has ties to Ukraine, incredible ties.
Well, yeah, he was recruiting the guys from the Middle East to go fight in Ukraine.
Don't set up a straw man. I'm not arguing that Zelensky set him up to kill Trump. But my point
no, not Zelensky, no.
Is who is the media trying really, really hard to link this guy with? Iran.
Sure.
But his real links are with Ukraine, but that doesn't fit the narrative, right? Because Ukraine is the good guy right now.
He doesn't have
Iran
the links
is the bad guy.
Well, he doesn't have the links to Iran at all.
Of course he doesn't. They're making that up.
Yeah.
Mike, it's documented. Again, I'm not saying that the Ukrainians put him up to kill Trump.
What he has is our intelligence services fingerprints all over him. That's what he has.
And Ukraine's.
All over him. Ukraine is the same thing. Ukraine is nothing more than a puppet state that was being run by our intelligence services for the longest time since Zelensky got installed.
Of course.
So don't be fooled. There's a lot, but we're going to do a full episode on that because there's a lot to unpack with that. There's a lot to go into with that. There's a lot of history that goes along with that, but we're going to lay it all out for you.
So right now, I think we could all agree, and no matter whether you think Biden's responsible or not, I think everybody who really just opens up a newspaper any day can agree that there is a likelihood of a multi-theater conflict, if not a global war, right?
If we keep going where we are, absolutely, yeah.
So it
could be averted, but I think we're very close.
So there was a report put out by a bipartisan commission a few weeks back that got almost no coverage. Just a quick little thing in the Times. I think Mitch McConnell referenced it in one of his speeches. And it was the Commission on the National Defense Strategy, which said that if there is a global war, we are woefully unprepared.
Oh, God, yeah.
Now, that's where I don't know. Ooh, I don't understand. So why are you so sure we're unprepared? And by unprepared, you mean militarily?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tell me why.
Well, for one, we've had 4 years of woke military bullshit, pardon my French, but I spent a long time in the military. I know what it takes to win a war. I know what it takes to fight a war because I fought them.
You don't think our soldiers have that anymore?
I think the soldiers that did have that were forced out. Right? Between COVID mandates, between all the woke crap, between all the nonsense. Instead we've got a bunch of, virtue signaling psychopaths that are running these units that have no idea how to actually fight and win a war. That is the smaller part of the problem, surprisingly, but true. But if you look at how we won World War II, if you look at how we won World War I, we had a manufacturing and agriculture base that was able to sustain a fight for indefinite periods of time. We do not have that anymore.
No, we can't even keep up with supplying Ukraine, Mike.
Exactly. So that right there alone, that's scary. That's scary as hell, because what you're talking about is sending American boys and girls to go die because they're going to be woefully unprepared, they're going to be woefully under-equipped, and they're not going to be logistically sound enough to get the kind of material supplies they need.
And we've been hurting ourselves with all the stuff we're sending Israel and Ukraine.
Well, yeah, we've depleted our own resource
now,
stockpiles completely.
So has Russia, right? But so the problem now remains, and this is why the one country that's sitting back and smiling at all of this is China.
But China doesn't have the kind of China has a blue water navy, right? So they really can't field their navy very far from their own shores. Not the majority of it. They have like ships they do for like publicity things. They'll send them out long range. But realistically, they can't do a sustained military operation.
No, but they have 1 billion people and a hell of a manufacturing base.
They do, but even still, it would take them years to catch up. You know, so I mean, China can't really fight a blue water like naval war. So, and that's a big drawback for China trying to be an expansionist empire.
Right. So, I don't think they are trying to be. I've seen no. So
I don't think they are either. I think they want Taiwan, and I think that's basically what they're looking to get. But
by the way,
they're probably going to get it.
Always been part of China, but you know,
well, yeah,
even our policy has been one country, two systems.
Right.
That's always been our policy when it comes to Taiwan. So back to what you were saying there, because it's interesting. So if China doesn't have the capabilities, and I agree with you, I mean, you know more about military stuff than I do, but I based on what I know, I think they overblow China's potential. I think China would get... I can't even see how they can invade Taiwan really successfully, do an amphibious landing like that.
They couldn't.
I think it would really... I mean, maybe they'd succeed in the end, but it would be a bloodbath.
They'd lose a lot of people.
Right.
Could they do it? Yes, if they threw enough at it, but it would be an extreme bloodbath.
Okay, so if they don't have... If you're right, and they don't have the capability, or if they did have the capability, it would be horrendous to even invade Taiwan. And you said that they don't have really any naval capacity.
They don't have blue water navy. Not yet. They're on their way. They're on their way, but they don't have blue water navy.
Russia's been hurt badly by this war, right?
They exhaust a lot of their ground resource stuff, yeah.
Then why would we not be prepared to fight a multi-theater battle if they're as weak as you're saying?
Here's the thing about it, right? Russia and China can both throw tremendous amounts of manpower in any fight they want.
Sure.
Right? So
especially China.
Right. We're not going to be able to keep up with the same manpower levels, without a draft. And even with a draft, we still have a hard time. And B, even if we could keep up with the manpower, we don't have the resources behind us to send.
But do you believe, and again I'm asking because I don't know, does our technological advantages, the types
that would play
of
a huge
weapons we
part.
have?
Listen, we could do like combined arms. The combined arms is like taking everything on the battle space all at the same time. So our ability to fight combined arms wars is unparalleled right now. It is absolutely unparalleled right now. Right? We are the experts in that, and we can definitely bring that to bear. So we can inflict a tremendous amount of damage on the enemy before we even get anywhere near them. Right?
Okay, so go back to what you said before then, because I don't understand that. So why were you so pessimistic at the beginning of the question? Now you seem to be like...
Because what I'm saying is that is like the first days of the battle. Right? Remember shock and awe?
Okay, so you're saying that we're not prepared for a protracted
battle.
Okay.
A world war is going to be a protracted fight. 5, 6, 7 years, right? That's World War II, World War I. It's going to be a protracted, long battle. And we fought Afghanistan for 20 years. Not the same thing. Not even remotely.
It's not the same
Not
thing at all.
even remotely. And we had a hard time keeping supplied in Afghanistan even because we were so drawn out, right? So we don't have the kind of capability to send the millions of men overseas like we did during D-Day, for instance, or any of those other big engagements we had.
I don't think we have the stomach for it either, Mike, because if
they're dying on that level, could you imagine?
Well, even if it was just contained to eastern Ukraine right now, if our men were over there fighting and dying at 1/10 the level the Russians and Ukrainians are dying at, Americans would be apoplectic.
I saw something recently talking
about...
Am I
wrong? You think I'm right?
No, you're absolutely right. Listen, I saw something recently about the real numbers of dying that are going on in Ukraine, right?
It's a lot.
So the real numbers of Ukrainians dying per day is somewhere near like 4,000 to 5,000 a day. This is what's being estimated, right? And this is in particular battles, but this is the overall particular battles.
You're saying on average, Mike, that would be 1 million dead Ukrainian soldiers. They wouldn't be able to field an army if that was true.
They can't. But look who they're conscripting now. They're taking people with Down syndrome and forcing them to the front lines. They're taking people... When you're doing that, it's because you've exhausted the supply of readily available
Yeah, but
men.
at the same time, Russia hasn't gained. You know, I mean, they gained a few miles here and there. They've improved some of their positions, but they're really not gaining.
But
much
Russia's
either.
also not setting their full force either. They're not devoting their entire force to it. Russia's only devoted about maybe 15-20%.
It's hard to tell, Mike, because we don't know how big. We can't really. They don't tell the truth, obviously, so we don't know how big.
But we still know how big they are. They know how big we are. We know how big they are.
They were claiming that they were recruiting 30,000. I read this. I mean, this is from their Ministry of Defense, the Russians.
Right.
They were claiming that they were recruiting between 30 and 40,000 new soldiers a month. So this has been for about a year that they've been claiming this. So figuring it takes 6 months to adequately train somebody, right?
6 to 9 months.
That
if you want to really train them.
That would mean we'd be looking at, up at this point now, half of those soldiers ready. Be looking at 500, 600,000. They'd be able to rotate these troops out of Ukraine. They'd be demolishing Ukraine if that was true.
I would think so. I don't think the Russians are being honest about their numbers, because the Russian amount of dying is about the same. What they're saying is about the same as the Ukrainian. So that was like the estimate. That was I don't know how truly accurate that is, but I think that's probably.
Well, where'd you get the numbers? You remember?
I'll look it up, and I'll get you the link. I forget what it was. It was.
But whatever it is, we could agree it's a lot. You know.
Yeah, no, but they were dying like in droves, like they're both sides.
But
they were saying about both sides are little. It's like a bloodbath.
And my point was the
like
American population would
style
never
bloodbath.
accept that.
No.
If we sent our soldiers, if Joseph Robinette Biden decided to send our soldiers over there today, if we even suffered 1/10 the casualties that they're suffering, the American population would go berserk, and rightly so. But I got to be honest with you, I don't wish it, but that would be the only way for people to really start to pay attention, is if we did. Because right now it's very easy to wave the, oh, I love Ukraine, or Putin is Hitler, and and you have all of these freaking politicians just declaring China an enemy and all these countries. Mike, listen. I know what you said. I understood what you said about the weakness of our military, maybe, but maybe this is just the dumb, naive patriot in me. But I still believe we could just kick ass.
We can
There is not a country
if we had
on this earth.
leadership.
But hold on, just let me ask you this. Let me say this and tell me if you agree. Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, or any other quote-unquote enemy, I don't believe any of them are a threat to either our sovereignty, our borders, or our way of life. They're a threat to our interests, but that's because our interests are all over the world.
Exactly right. Listen, we have two big-ass oceans on either side of our country to protect us, right? And then God help anybody stupid enough to invade the American homeland. God help you.
No, it's not. And they're not sending nuclear missiles over either.
No one's nuking anybody. That's just the furthest thing from the truth.
All right, so then why are these countries considered quote-unquote enemies?
Because because exactly right, because of our interests.
Our interests.
Because somebody's losing money somewhere.
Bingo. There you go. That's what it comes down to. So
your blood for their money. No
exactly.
Thanks. No thanks. We're good.
Well, but it's going to happen. And listen, I truly believe Trump's going to try to get us out of this mess.
Well, I think he could.
But I don't know, because, I mean, again, you know better than I do. Once wars take on a life, they really can't be controlled. I mean, this nonsense that he's going to stop it in 24 hours and while he's president-elect, you can't. And by the way,
I think you can.
They've been quote-unquote Trump-proofing this war. Remember a few weeks ago we were talking about the invasion of Kursk, and I was saying that I thought that was an attempt by Zelensky to get Russia to overreact and draw us into the war. Changed my mind. I didn't change it on my own. I was convinced by an article I read. I think this was Zelensky's way of Trump-proofing the war, because no way in hell is Russia now going to agree to a frozen conflict. Right? Because a good portion of their territory now is occupied by Ukraine. So if we quote-unquote freeze the front line, which is what Trump wanted to do, zero chance Putin does that now, because the Ukrainians are in there. What do you think
I'd have to see. I haven't looked at it recently, what the front line even looks like, honestly, recently. But if that's the case,
just
then
the point that they're in Kursk, right? You know that. So
I wouldn't imagine Russia would ever tolerate that.
Not a chance. So I thought this was a really good point, that this was Zelensky's way of trying to Trump-proof the war, because
it might be.
There's no way Trump could now even call for a ceasefire that Putin would agree to, because Zelensky doesn't want one either. But it's just going to be really, really hard. You can't just snap your fingers and stop the war. If you could, Nixon would have stopped Vietnam.
I think it could be
Obama
stopped.
would have stopped Iraq right away. It takes a long time.
I think you could slow it down. You could stop it. I don't know if it's going to be a 24-hour thing. I think he's a little bombastic about that, a little bit exaggerating about that. But I think it could be stopped, but it's going to take some pretty tense negotiation to do that. It's going to take some real, honest, no shit negotiation. We'll see.
But here's the
find
scariest part about what you just said and what everybody is saying. Just the fact that this has become our war, what you just said proves it. This is not Ukraine's war. This is our war.
Well, Ukraine's a proxy.
Yeah, of course, right. Because otherwise Ukraine and Russia could sit down and negotiate on their own. We're the ones calling the shot. Biden's the one saying no negotiations.
Ukraine, once the coup happened in Ukraine in 2014, there was the coup. Victoria Nuland and the other dirtbags in the State Department overturned the country. A legitimate election in their country. Overturn it. They take over. At that point, Ukraine became a proxy for Western intelligence. Not just us, but like the UK and other big Western players. But they became a proxy for the Western intelligence agencies to operate against Russia. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
And that's all it's been. And that's why Putin's fighting this war. And that's why Ukraine, unfortunately, Ukrainians are dying for it. But
unfortunately, it's like Ukraine and Israel are the 51st and 52nd states. It just doesn't make any sense. We don't owe either one of them anything. We can help them. We can defend them. But this whole nonsense that we owe them something, or that we owe them undying loyalty and undying help, is just ridiculous. Ukrainians are killing civilians too. By the way, the Israelis have probably killed more civilians in this war than Russia and Ukraine put together.
Probably.
Okay, but
wouldn't be surprised.
But they're our guys, so they get away with it.
Although they're getting a lot of negative press, though.
Getting a lot of negative press. Let me tell you something. Biden just talks. Biden has supported, and again, I support Israel too to a point, but Biden has supported Israel probably more than any other president militarily ever. He's just given them carte blanche. He speaks sometimes so that he could placate his base, who get very upset about it.
Yeah, but he's given them pretty much everything they've asked for.
But oh my God, whatever they ask for, whatever they want to do. Same thing with Zelensky. But anyway, I hope this article's wrong on both counts. I hope we're not headed for a multi-theater war.
Listen,
and if we are, I hope we are more prepared than this right now.
Yeah, I pray that we don't, because listen, that's the worst possible scenario that could happen. That would be. It is. Listen, there's already too much dying. There really is already too much dying, and it's so unnecessary. That would take it to a level that is just unbelievable. I don't think anybody is even remotely has a first idea what that's actually going to look like, and it is going to be ugly at a level that people cannot even fathom.
I just can't wait till this president's gone. I got to tell you, obviously I want Trump, but even Harris being in there is going to have to be an upgrade from this guy. Nobody could do
I think
worse.
she'll continue a lot of the same shit. I think she'll continue a lot of the
She
same
might,
stuff.
but every president wants to kind of be their own man. Well, in her case, own woman. So, we'll see.
You'd hope. You'd hope. Honestly, you'd hope. But I don't have faith at this point with any of that.
Well, obviously, I don't either. Otherwise, I'd vote for her. But
fair enough. All right, let us know what you think. Give us your thoughts. Give us your comments. Get in that comment section. Let us know what you think. We want to hear your side of the things.
Tell us what horrible human beings we are because we don't bow to Zelensky and Netanyahu.
We don't bow to anybody.
Nobody. And nobody in America should never bow to.
We don't bow to anybody.
But we should never let another country dictate our policy.
No.
Never, ever, ever.
No.
Should anything other than American interests be front and center. No. That's it.
All right, guys. Listen, you can tune in live Saturday nights, 10 p.m. I'll be on 7.5 Radio. Rick will be back on again soon. I'll be on with Pete and Walt tonight.
That's in about 5 minutes.
Tune in. Listen to us live. It's a great show. You'll have a lot of fun. Believe me, it's funny as hell. It's a great show. It's very informative, just like the Dirt Road. And obviously, we want you to like, subscribe, and keep coming back here so we can fill you in on different things and what's going on. Please.
All right, Mike, I'll see you guys. By the way, when we start making money on this, we got to get an air conditioning down here in the new chair.
We're going to renovate the whole basement here for the whole studio.
Guys, tune in next time. We appreciate you. Comment down below. Like I said, we do respond to comments
we try our best to get on there, okay? All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great night. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.